Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for being here on our first snowy Sunday of the year. I would invite you to rise in body or in spirit and to turn in our gray hymnal to hymn number 16, "'Tis a Gift to Be Simple," hymn number 1-6. 'Tis a gift to be simple, 'tis a gift to be free, 'tis a gift to come down where you ought to be. And when we find ourselves in the place just right, 'twill be in the valley of love and delight. When true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend we shan't be ashamed. To turn will be our delight, till by turning we come round right. 'Tis a gift to be simple, 'tis a gift to be free, 'tis a gift to come down where you ought to be. And when we find ourselves in the place just right, 'twill be in the valley of love and delight. When true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend we shan't be ashamed. To turn will be our delight, till by turning we come round right. Thank you. You may be seated.
Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to the First Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Ann Arbor. We are a spiritual community of progressive dreamers working for peace, love, and justice for 150 years. Whether you're joining us in person, tuning in on the live stream, or watching on demand at a later time, we are so happy you've offered us the gift of your presence. My name is Stella Gorlin, and I serve this congregation as the Director of Spiritual Growth and Development. For the first-timers among us, a couple of things. You're warmly invited to attend our newcomer welcome right after the service in the Redmond Room, which is the second door on your left as you head back towards the main entrance. There you'll find volunteers ready and eager to answer any questions and help you navigate our very enthusiastic community. You can also fill out a newcomer survey, which is available on our website at UUAA.org/newcomer survey, so we can get to know you better and find ways to connect you into the amazing work that we're doing every day. I also wanted to bring your attention to this space down here by the rainbow rug and this little area over here. We call this our Soul Work Corner, and it's designed for kids, teens, and adults of all ages. You'll find clipboards with coloring pages, markers, puzzles, books, fidgets, and these little notebooks that you're welcome to take home with you. If you have busy hands or busy minds or busy bodies, this might be the right space for you. And we also have a totally refurbished wiggle room in the back, perfect for families with toddlers or babies or any other folks that might need a quiet corner where they can still hear the service. I invite you to explore the many ways in which our sanctuary offers a safe, welcoming space for everyone. Now, my original announcement, the next announcement, said for the next 2 Sundays, but I have been informed that we are selling out today. So today only, vegan apple dumplings made with love and care by our high school-aged youth are available for purchase in the social hall after the services. So let me repeat. They are going to sell out today. This is your only chance. You can get 1 dumpling warm and ready to eat with or without ice cream for $6, or 2 dumplings for the same price to take home with you later. And all of the proceeds go to purchasing holiday gifts for a local nonprofit, Peace Neighborhood Center. And finally, next Sunday after the second service, all ages are warmly invited to decorate our Christmas tree and sing carols right here in the sanctuary. Come and be merry as we ring in this season. On Friday morning, our area woke up to what was, to me at least, an unexpected blanket of snow. A gift from Mother Nature to usher in this festive season, and the snow has continued through the weekend and even today. Snow forces us to slow down, both literally and figuratively. It demands our attention. Everything else is stripped away, and when the snow is falling, I find it very difficult to multitask. It really brings me into the present moment. It's a beautiful, stark reminder of the power of nature in the midst of the busyness of this season. And unlike when we have rain at night and we can hear the patter on the roof and against the windows, the snow surprises us, even when we know it's coming. It reminds me of a remarkable poem by Miguel de Unamuno, "The Snowfall is So Silent." The snowfall is so silent, so slow, bit by bit, with delicacy. It settles down on the earth and covers over the fields. The silent snow comes down, white and weightless. Snowfall makes no noise. Falls as forgetting falls, flake after flake. It covers the fields gently while frost attacks them with its sudden flashes of white. Covers everything with its pure and silent covering. Not one thing on the ground anywhere escapes it, and wherever it falls, it stays, content and gay, for snow does not slip off as rain does, but it stays and sinks in. The flakes are sky flowers, pale lilies from the clouds that wither on earth. They come down blossoming, but then so quickly they are gone. They bloom only on the peak above the mountains, and make the earth feel heavier when they die inside. Snow, delicate snow, that falls with such lightness on the head, on the feelings, come and cover over the sadness that lies always in my reason. Let us breathe together in gentle silence on this chilly, wintry December morning. We are gathered together in community. We are gathered for worship. On that snowy Black Friday, rather than spend time shopping for the best deals or scouring the internet for the latest Christmas cookie recipe or getting my outdoor lights on the house, I spent the afternoon with my kids watching Looney Tunes cartoons at the Michigan Theater, an annual tradition that I highly recommend if you're in Ann Arbor on the day after Thanksgiving. There is nothing like Daffy Duck raging against an unseen animator in Duck-a-Muck, or Wile E. Coyote, super genius, trying and failing to outsmart Bugs Bunny to make you forget the rush of the season and your long to-do and to-buy lists. As Catherine May writes in her book, Wintering, the problem with everything is that it ends up looking an awful lot like nothing. Just one long haze of frantic activity, with all the meaning sheared away. My favorite times in December are the ones that I spend with intention and with people I love, building joyful memories. Engaging in meaningful traditions offers us an opportunity to slow down a little, to take it all in, to be in a state of gratitude rather than longing. Much like when we gather together here on Sundays, we engage in meaningful rituals that ground us in our faith and in our connections with one another. One of our most cherished rituals is the lighting of our chalice. The flaming chalice is a symbol of our Unitarian Universalist commitment to forging a more just and peaceful world. This morning, I am pleased to invite Cindy O'Connor to light our chalice for us. For those of you worshiping from home, I invite you to light a chalice of your own and share your location with us in the chat, or just write chalice lit, that we may be together, if not in body, then in spirit. Together, let us say, we light this chalice for the light of truth. We light this chalice for the warmth of love. We light this chalice for the energy of action. We light this chalice for the harmony of peace. Thank you, Cindy. Another way that we begin our time together is by reciting the words of our covenant. we are not a creedal faith, but are bound instead by our relationships with one another, by a shared commitment to honoring the inherent worth and dignity of every person, and to always lead with love and compassion. Our covenant is a reminder that we are a part of a beloved community. So whether you're joining us for the first time or you have these words memorized, please join me as we say together, "The spirit of this church is love, and service is its law. This is our covenant with each other, to dwell together in peace, to search for truth in love, and to help one another."
"'Tis a gift to be simple," we sang in our Music for Gathering. But it wasn't until I became an uncle to my 7 incredible nieces and nephews that I truly learned just how unpredictable gift-giving could be. I thought for sure they would love the big, noisy, colorful, light-up toys I bought them when they were little. Well, to be fair, it may have been my siblings who didn't particularly care for the biggest and noisiest of those gifts, but even for my nieces and nephews, I was amazed to find that oftentimes it really was the simplest gifts they liked best. Today's story for all ages is The Gift of Nothing by Patrick McDonnell. It was a special day, and Mooch wanted to give his best friend Earl a gift. But what to get him? He had a bowl, he had a bed, he had a chewy toy. He had it all! Mooch thought and thought, what do you get someone who has everything? Nothing. He would give Earl the gift of nothing. But in this world filled with so many somethings, where could he even find nothing? Mooch often heard Frank say there was nothing on TV. But as far as Mooch could tell, there was always something on TV. Mooch often heard Doozy and her friends say there was nothing to do. But as far as Mooch could tell, everybody was always doing something. Millie came home from the store and said there was nothing to buy. So Mooch went shopping. Mooch looked up and down every aisle, and he found many, many, many somethings. The latest this, the newest that. But as far as he could tell, nothing was not for sale. So Mooch went home and sat on his pillow and just stayed still, as cats often do. And not looking for it, he found nothing. So he went and got a box and put nothing in it. Then Mooch thought, maybe Earl deserves more than this. So he got a bigger box. Now that's plenty of nothing. For me, said Earl. Mooch, you didn't have to give me anything. Who told him, thought Mooch. Earl opened Mooch's gift. There's nothing here, said Earl. Yeah, said Mooch, nothing. But me and you. So Mooch and Earl just stayed still and enjoyed nothing and everything. The end. And now is the time in our service when we sing our children to their programs. So I invite our elementary kids to follow Stella and their adult leaders out of the sanctuary as the congregation sings with love and affection.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Everywhere I go, everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Building up a world, building up a world, I'm gonna let it shine.
At our Thanksgiving table this past week, each one of us had a chance to share what was the best thing in their lives that happened this past year. 2 millennials mentioned their new humble home. Each one is renting a very affordable room that they found in the exact same house in Ypsilanti. Their big thing was discovering how much they appreciate the simplicity of their lives without having to manage too much stuff. Another was excited about a new friend she met in a dance class. A new friendship put her over the moon. Now, these 3 millennials are my kids. By the time it was my turn, I changed my best thing to hearing what my adult children chose as their best things. This week, we are sharing the collection with our friends at the House by the Side of the Road. Hamaya Griffin, the house manager at this organization, will tell us more about the important work they do. Please welcome Hamaya to our pulpit.
Hi everyone, I'm Hamaya Griffin, and thank you for choosing us as sharing the collection for this month. The House by the Side of the Road has been around since 1970, that's over 50 years, and what we do, we provide clothing and household items and bedding for free to anybody in need in Washtenaw County. We don't ask any referral. Anybody who thinks they're in need are welcome to come. The House by the Side of the Road started, as I said before, in the 1970s, when in the 1960s there were multiple churches that all had their closed closets, and people had to go to one church on one day and another church another day, and it just didn't meet the needs of the community. So the county and the churches came together and decided if the county provided the building, the churches would provide the volunteers, and that's how the House by the Side of the Road started. And the first house was on Hawkback Road, but in 2010, the county decided to build a jail there, so they rescinded the contract, and we became a 501c3 nonprofit. And we've moved several times, but now we're on South State Street, like a few houses south of the produce station. The clients can come, they don't need a referral, they just can come whenever we are open, like from 10 to 2, Monday to Friday. Some people come after family breakup. We have people that come straight out of jail, they don't have anything. People that were in safe house and needed clothes. People that are homeless. We have people referred by the Delana Center. We have people from who are just new immigrants, mental health issues, crisis pregnancies. Anybody can come. We served about a little bit less than 5,000 households last year. Most of the people, about half of them, come from Ypsilanti, a third from Ann Arbor, and then we have about 80% that comes out of the rest of Washtenaw County. We are a 100% volunteer-run organization. Even I don't get paid. Everybody's a volunteer with us. So most of our expenses, which is more than 80%, goes to our rent and our utilities. So if you donate to us, it's to pay the roof over our building so we can give the free donations to the people in need. The stuff we are always looking for right now is winter coats, pots and pans, small household appliances, blankets, sheets, towels and washcloth, athletic shoes and openers. And we're also always in need of more volunteers. And again, I want to thank you for having me here. And I will be at the social hour for a little bit if you have more questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Hamaya. If you are wondering, as I was earlier this week, where the house on the side of the road, the name came from, it's from a Sam Walter Foss poem, and I happen to notice that each one of the stanzas in the poem ends with, "Let me live in a house by the side of the road and be a friend to man." Of course, today we'd say, "Let me live in a house by the side of the road and be a friend to everyone." Today, we have the opportunity to support our friends in the house by the side of the road. Hamaya mentioned volunteer opportunities, and today we will also share our gifts from our collection as an active community. There are many ways to give. You may give online at UUAA.org/giving. You may text UUAA to 73256 or leave a check or cash in the offering baskets. As the ushers now come forward, I thank you all in advance for your generosity. Today's collection will now be greatly given and received.
Spend each day the color of the leaves. why wonder, why wonder? I am green and it'll do fine. It's beautiful and I think it's what I want to be. It's not that easy being green.
Thank you, you all come singers, and thank you everyone for your contribution today. As the ushers come forward, I invite you to rise in body or spirit, and with warmth and gratitude, speak the words we use to dedicate our offering. To the work of this congregation, which is weaving a tapestry of love and action, we dedicate our lives, and these our offerings. Thank you. You may be seated.
It's not easy being green. Sung originally, of course, by Kermit the Frog of Muppet fame. I love the Muppets. On this weekend dedicated to the almighty greenback, I wonder what our dollar would sing about being green. Maybe a soulful lament. It's not easy being green. Look how people have contorted and distorted their relationship with me. Or maybe a sardonic song. It's not easy being green. People are never safe enough or secure enough or have enough of me. Amidst all the bargain hunting that defines this weekend, I found myself wondering, have you ever acquired something that you regret? Probably it's the rare human being who hasn't. And I want to start off today by sharing such a story of regret with you. And it's a story about our family dog, my family dog, named Merlin. Merlin, there he is. Oh, he's already taken you in. He joined our family in 2017 as a puppy, about 3 or 4 months old, a black and gray Cocker Spaniel and Poodle mix, cockapoo. Very handsome and cute dog, which is about the main thing that he has going for him. From his youngest days as a pup, he did everything a dog could possibly do to try and get away from his adopted family. The moment you opened the front door just a sliver to bring groceries into the house, he would find a way to wriggle in between your feet, and off down the blocks he would go. If not actually in traffic, he would be quite the distance down trying to catch him at full speed gallop. He would sniff out every corner of the backyard, looking for any minor gap in the fence that he could wedge himself through, and again, roam free through the entire neighborhood. Our escape artist. He was completely untrainable, and believe me, I spent years trying to train this dog, and have successfully trained other dogs. Of course, there were young kids in the house, and some of you know how that goes, trying to train a dog with young kids in the house. Dogs are beloved for being companions, Not to me. The dog didn't particularly like me much, but of course, I was also the one trying to train him and get him to obey commands. Dogs also beloved by the human species for their incredible loyalty. Not this one. Forget about even being a potential guard dog. Any stranger coming into the house was incredibly more interesting than his family. He would leave with them if they wanted him to. My nickname for Merlin early on became Useless. Come here, Useless. Because he was the most useless dog I'd ever encountered. Handsome as all get out, just not utterly useful beyond that. Merlin was an acquisition that I regretted, a being. But as a being, he became a family member, and so we were stuck with one another. It leads to a good question. How do you know whether you're making a good decision or not? It could be an everyday, a day-to-day type of decision, such as purchasing or acquiring something, or a complex, major fork in the road, a major life choice. How do we decide what we're going to do? I had some major learnings this week as I contemplated this topic amidst the major theme of the week, which is bargain hunting. Some of you who are Netflix subscribers, now I know the thing to watch on Netflix right now is Hot Frosty, which is exactly what it sounds like. But if you can tear yourself away from that, there's a documentary called Buy Now, which is about consumerism in our present day. I can't strongly recommend this enough. It is superb, and I encourage you to watch it if you have access to Netflix. Buy Now. I will eventually create an opportunity to see it here in the congregation, but it's the holiday season, so that won't be anytime soon. So do see it if you can. Now, one of the things I learned from this documentary, get this was shocking to me. Most Americans trust corporations more than social institutions in this nation. We trust corporations more than we trust institutions that are specifically designed to promote public good. That's really surprising. I had to sit with that for a moment. But think about it. Do you have a favorite brand of car, a preferred brand? That when your current vehicle maybe wears out, you're going to go back and try and get the same model, make, whatever. Do you have a cell phone that when time comes to swap it out, you try and get the same manufacturer? Or how about a laptop or a computer? Do you tend to stick to the same manufacturer, the same operating system? What about retailers? Do you have ones that you regularly go to over and over again? How about food brands that you buy over and over again? How about airlines that you're going to check out that one first, and if that one, the price isn't good, maybe then you'll look at others? You likely have favorites. And embedded in those favorites is a preferred choice. The preferred choice has trust. It reflects some level of trust. Now, the trust may be there because you have decided consciously or unconsciously that the brand or the corporation, the product they're producing, is reliable. You may have decided consciously or unconsciously that the brand or the product or the manufacturer, that they are socially conscious. They're doing the right thing out there in the world. You may decide that you've had a good experience with either the company or the specific product, that they are consumer-friendly or supportive of their customers. That may lead you to return over and over again to that brand. All of those potential criteria reflect trust, both in the product and in the corporation producing the product. We do extend a significant amount of trust to corporations. Now, here's the thing. Commerce isn't inherently bad. It has existed for millennia. It's perhaps even necessary for human flourishing. And corporations have finally honed the art of psychological manipulation in order to ensure that we open up our wallets to them over and over again. Both of those things can be simultaneously true. And the documentary on Netflix, Buy Now, exposes 5 such corporate manipulations, which I'll mention briefly, but by all means, please do see this documentary and explore this in more detail. So the first such psychological manipulation, corporate manipulation, is sell more. You already have the preferred or favorite product, but guess what? Companies only make a profit if they have an upward trend line, which means they have to keep selling more of the thing that you've already bought from them. This means they have to convince you in some way, shape, or form that what you've got is not enough. You need more and more and more of the thing that you already have. This leads to corporate manipulation number 2. Waste more. Convincing us, consciously or unconsciously, that waste is just a part of the cosmic design that we should accept. And in fact, waste is built into corporate business models. This was fascinating. I had no idea about this. So back when light bulbs were invented, I don't know the exact date, decades and decades ago, a cartel emerged of light bulb manufacturers called the Phoebus cartel. The manufacturers of light bulbs, they were able to produce a light bulb that could last 2,500 hours, but guess what? A light bulb that lasted that long is not profitable for them because they needed us, to buy more of their product. So they agreed as a cartel that they were going to produce light bulbs that only lasted 1,000 hours, less than half of what they could have designed, so that we would buy more and more of their product. It's called planned obsolescence, and it's an essential part of most business planning today, is planning into the manufacturing cycle when the manufacturer, not due to design limitations, but when the manufacturer decides that their product will be obsolete, thereby pushing and requiring the consumer to purchase again. Creating in us an acceptance of waste. Now, having sold more, wasted more, number 3, psychological manipulation number 3 is lie more. Create false impressions about your product. This most typically happens around convincing us that corporations are socially responsible. Now, here's the thing. Most of what the average consumer knows about social responsibility is what the corporation themselves is telling us. Very few of us actually do our own research into the manufacturers that we are purchasing from. But let me give you a great example of this. And this is a huge reason why we should do our own research into exactly how socially responsible corporations are. Early in my career, many of you would not know this, I served a congregation in West Florida. This was back in a time period when another documentary called Blackfish had just come out. By the way, also excellent if you haven't seen it. That documentary is about how sea aquariums or businesses like SeaWorld procure sea mammals and the cruelty inherent in that whole cycle. In the heels of that documentary coming out, many, many people launched protests, including me. I launched a one human being protest in West Florida, seeking to boycott and condemn SeaWorld. I was persona non grata for a little bit of time at SeaWorld Orlando. I had an op-ed published in the Orlando Sentinel and led a campaign or two. But in the wake of Blackfish, here's what SeaWorld did. There were years after that documentary came out that anything and everything you heard from SeaWorld was all about their social responsibility. They had radio ads, print ads, TV ads showing you a seal covered in oil, and they have rescued the seal or the bird or whatever it is, and they've cleaned it up and rehabilitated it and released it into the wild. They had a name for this rehabilitation program. They told us that it's a major corporate commitment that they are doing to ensure environmental sustainability on planet Earth. This was the #1 message coming out of them for years. So I looked it up. How much money is SeaWorld devoting to the fund that they say they have created to support animal rehabilitation and wildlife release? Oh, you're gonna love this. Not even 1% of profit. Not revenue, pure profit. It wasn't even 0.5%, not even 0.5% of their pure profit. And all the messaging being put out was about how socially responsible SeaWorld is. All corporations do this. All corporations do this, and we generally have no idea what their socially responsible messaging actually means. So they lie more. And because waste is a part of the inherent production and manufacturing cycle today, corporations have to ensure that they can, psychological manipulation #4, hide more. We can't just have cell phones and computer screens littering our good streets. The waste has to be hidden. And so what happens is that it's shipped overseas, where we don't have to see it or confront it. Used electronics get shipped to Thailand, where they are not disposed of in an environmentally safe manner. They are disposed of in highly toxic ways. Shoes, tennis shoes and the like, often embedded with plastic materials that do not degrade easily, shipped by the ton to Chile, where you can actually see satellite photos of the Chilean desert, where there are nothing but mountains of discarded shoes littering the desert. Used clothing, where our US retailers tell us, donate your clothing to us, we will ensure it is recycled, that it is donated and sent to needy people around the world. This is what we're openly told. #1 recipient of clothes that are being recycled, that are donated, that are actively collected by US retailers. Those clothes, #1 recipient is Ghana. Ghana, with 30 million human beings, that receives 15 million pieces of discarded clothing per week. Per week. They have no capacity to do anything with that 15 million pieces of clothing, so they get dumped in the ocean and wash up on their beaches, mounds and mounds of discarded clothing just washing up on their beaches. Hide that, which leads to psychological manipulation #5, control more. Corporations ensure they are doing everything possible to control the narrative and control the story about them. So to recap, these manipulations sell more, waste more, lie more, hide more, control more. Do, if you get a chance, watch By Now. It is an important documentary. Given all these outside cultural, societal, advertising, marketing messages that seek to control and manipulate us actively, how do we actually know we're making good and healthy choices as consumers? How do we know when the entities that we are openly lending our trust to have as their #1 imperative profit-making and the need to manipulate and manage their public perception of their industry so that profit can continue undisturbed? We can generalize this and wonder, and it's a good wondering, beyond merely decisions around what we purchase, how do we know if any decision we're making, any life decision, is a good and healthy decision? This is where I want to return to Merlin. Now, see, Merlin, when he joined us in the summer of 2017, about 4 or 5 months before that, before he joined our family, my beloved Labradoodle, lab and poodle mix of 11 years with me. His name is Luke, named after Luke Skywalker. Luke died 4 or 5 months before Merlin joined us. And Luke was what one of my good friends refers to as a heart dog, one of those animals that has found a place in your heart, and no other animal is ever going to really live up to that special place. Luke saw me through a divorce, saw me through years of being single when it was just him and I. He saw me through meeting the individual who became my husband, Jeff. He saw that turn into a marriage, and then the addition of a baby to the family, baby number 1, and then baby number 2, all the while in all those 11 years, him willingly allowing himself to get ratcheted down further and further on the chain of importance. So gentle and easygoing was he. His death in 2017 was a really big deal to me. And in the middle of that, I convinced myself and my spouse that I had really sound, logical reasoning. The house was really quiet without a dog, and we had kind of a family structure, and in that family structure, there was the dog space. There was a dog unit. The dog unit was empty, which meant that there was space in the family structure for a new dog. We had rooms in our lives for a new dog. Our lives were already sculpted around there being a dog in the house. It made sense. I convinced myself fully of this logic. I convinced my spouse, Jeff, of the soundness of this reasoning as well. Whereas, in truth, I was devastated. I wanted a puppy to distract me from the pain. And when the puppy came, the problem was that the puppy was not Luke and could never be Luke. And because I could not magically sculpt the new dog into being Luke, I was not only sad, but I was frustrated and angry. Angry at the new dog for not being Luke. Now here today I get to share not only a little bit about my love of animals with you, but also another sci-fi reference. Many of you know I love science fiction. This one is from Star Trek, a particular series, one of the newer series, called Discovery, Star Trek Discovery. Now, you don't need to know a thing about it, but I'll explain the concept. There's a sub-community in the series that holds as its principal way of life this belief. It's called the way of absolute candor. The way of absolute candor. Now, before you get too excited, because I know at first hearing that phrase, absolute candor, you could think, oh, that could be about giving somebody else my peace of mind, letting them know what I think about them for their benefit, obviously. Not that easy. It could include that. But rather, absolute candor in Star Trek Discovery is more about candor with and about yourself. What's really going on with you underneath the beautiful rationale our brains create around a given situation, the self-justifications that impel us, the underlying motivations for which we come up with cover stories for? How do we engage in absolute candor with ourselves about all of that? And in my case, underneath the lovely, lovely cover story that I came up with was the reality of grief. And it took me years to get there. It was not just a few months later. It took me years of living with Merlin and feeling kind of disappointed and frustrated to circle back to the reality that, oh, any dog after Luke was going to be an utter disappointment. I just wasn't ready for a new dog. So I had to acknowledge my grief. Rather than continuing to try and avoid it and hide it, I had to acknowledge my grief. I had to look at it, be present to it, unflinchingly. And only in being really present to it could the situation then potentially change. Now, in my case, it was grief, but in other situations, it could be fear of the unknown, or fear of what it might actually look like to turn into a part of ourselves that we're not comfortable with. It could be unresolved trauma that's in need of healing, that hasn't been fully healed yet, or maybe the scar got ripped open for some reason. It could be anxiety about who we are or the future. It could be self-doubt in our goodness or capabilities. Any or all of these things and many other things could be motivating us underneath the lovely rationale and self-justifications and stories we come up with. So first and foremost, how do we get really real with ourselves? This is hard to do. This is really hard to do in a culture which completely normalizes engaging in distraction, hiding from the things about life or about ourselves that we don't like, and or engaging in addictive patterns, which are other forms of distraction and hiding. All of that completely normalized in our society. And so it takes real courage, absolute candor, my gosh, to engage in absolute candor with yourself about yourself is one of the most courageous things we could genuinely try to do. And I believe, my experience leads me to believe that often we know when there's stuff below the surface that is in need of greater attention or healing or openness or support. We know on some level when our behaviors, motivations, and relationships don't feel as healthy as they could. So this possibility of being in a better relationship with ourselves and with our environment starts with each and every one of us, with absolute candor and honesty with ourselves about ourselves. I had to get honest with myself about my own grief regarding Luke, that he was dead. I was never going to have another Luke. And then I had to turn and look with equal openness at the creature, the being now living in my household. I took this photo just this morning for you all, woke him up. This quirky, unique, weirdo dog, who is not really the dog that I necessarily need in my life, but he's in my life. So, who is he? And it was only on the other side of accepting my grief and giving it some attention that I could approach Merlin as his own being. Not necessarily, yes, expecting him to behave a bit more, but not necessarily expecting him to be something he's not. And me not necessarily needing to change either for him. Transformation is only possible once we've dealt with the real thing that's underneath, the rationale, or the lovely story we come up with. This is where absolute candor with ourselves can indeed be scary. It can evoke fear. Fear of being judged. What if the thing underneath, the story, the rationale, the self-justification, what if it's not that nice? What if it's not that flattering about myself? Yeah, it might not be. It probably isn't. That's why you've come up with a nice rationale about it. What if in addition to the fear, there's uncertainty? Okay, even if I admit that the thing underneath the story is true, well, then what? What am I supposed to do next? I don't even know, so what's the point? Fear and uncertainty are fundamental parts of this time that we're living in right now. Right now, there is immense societal fear and uncertainty. And here, right here, we have one of the best responses one could come up with to fear and uncertainty, which is community. The opportunity, the ability to turn to one another for support in community. Now, this was just great. I don't know if any of you saw this or read this week. The Washington Post, you can't pay for this kind of advertising. The Washington Post released an opinion piece by one of its columnists this week. 5 things to do instead of doom scrolling about Trump. Only 5 things. Only 5 things. And the number 2 thing that this Washington Post columnist wrote in this nationally distributed column, the number 2 thing, join a Unitarian Universalist congregation. Not join a religious institution, join a Unitarian Universalist congregation. If you haven't seen the article, go to UUAA's Facebook page, either the closed group or the public, it's there. You can read it. The columnist, Perry Bacon Jr. Now, here's the thing, if you're a longtime UU like me, we start to take us for granted. We shouldn't, but we kind of do. And you can tell when you read this opinion piece, he's a new Unitarian universe. There's no way he's not, because he's all shiny and excited about us, which is really cool. You kind of love it. It's one of the best things about getting new people into our community. He's so excited about us. So he's a member of the UU congregation in Louisville, Kentucky. And, he says in his column that he writes about politics. This is his paid job. And so he didn't go to a religious community because of political or civic engagement. And so that was not really the thing, even though that was the first thing he was greeted with coming into our doors. We are known for our civic engagement. We are among more than any other denomination, I would say, that is one of the things we are really well known for. And so he's greeted with that. But what he saw that he didn't see elsewhere was the commitment of ordinary congregants, ordinary volunteers to going out in the local community and engaging in all kinds of service work, volunteer work, to bring those values that were espoused alive through local action. That really mattered to him. He saw a community that was walking the walk and not just saying what it believed in, but actually actively bringing it alive, making a positive difference locally. A community grounded in values and ethics, committed to meeting social fear and uncertainty, yes, in a time in which that is huge, but also fear and uncertainty in the highly personal, individual levels, the fear and uncertainty any of us might feel over changes in our lives, losses, forks in the road. We show up for one another. We confront life honestly, with integrity, grounded in love and relationality. We together, collectively, are the antidote to all the messaging out there that says that we don't have enough, we haven't achieved or done enough, that our lives aren't good and worthy and inherently joyous and meaningful. We are the antidote to the lie that profit-based corporations are somehow more trustworthy than community. Week after week, we gather here in service to one another, extending a sense of belonging, a sense of inclusion, a sense of community to one another, and in service to the wider world around us. We may not solve every ill in this time of great and profound need, but we can do, and we do a lot. And that is good. That is just, and that is enough. You and I, we are enough, despite what all the corporations would have us believe.
Friends, would you rise in body or in spirit and turn in our gray hymnal and join in singing hymn number 100, I've Got Peace Like a River, hymn number 100. Like a river in my soul, I've got peace like a river, I've got peace like a river, I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got joy, I've got joy like a fountain, I've got joy like a fountain, I've got joy like a fountain in my soul. I've got joy like a fountain, I've got joy like a fountain, I've got joy like a fountain in my soul. I've got love like an ocean, I've got love like an ocean, I've got love like an ocean in my soul. I've got love like an ocean, I've got love like an ocean, I've got love like an ocean in my soul. I've got pain like an arrow, I've got pain like an arrow, I've got pain like an arrow in my soul. I've got pain like an arrow, I've got pain like an arrow, I've got pain like an arrow in my soul. I've got tears like the raindrops, I've got tears like the raindrops, I've got tears like the raindrops in my soul. I've got tears like the raindrops, I've got tears like the raindrops, I've got tears like the raindrops in my soul. But I've got strength like a mountain, I've got strength like a mountain, I've got strength like a mountain in my soul. I've got strength like a mountain, I've got strength like a mountain, I've got strength like a mountain in my soul.
Beloveds, head out into this new week We know we're living in a time when uncertainty and fear and even pain permeate the water, the culture around us. Take strength in knowing that you are held firmly and closely in this community's embrace. The love that resides in your heart that represents the very best of who you are is needed in a world that cries out so desperately for more of just that. Go out and be that love, embody it with your voices, your deeds, your acts, your very being. Know that you are cheered on by this community in being all that and so much more until we are together again. Go in love, go in peace. Amen.